The story of the 1957 Dewey penny coin begins in an era when America was going through a post-war boom and economic prosperity was shaping the lives of millions of families across the nation. This particular penny with its Denver Mint mark carries not just the value of a single cent but also decades of history and a sense of nostalgia for collectors who see in it a representation of American resilience and craftsmanship. The Wheat Penny series began in 1909 when the United States Mint introduced the Lincoln cent to celebrate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. The obverse of the coin features the profile of President Lincoln, which has now become one of the most iconic images in American coinage. On the reverse of these early cents were two stylized ears of durum wheat surrounding the words 1 cent and United States of America. This design gave rise to the name wheat penny or wheat cent that collectors and everyday people still use today. The 1957 Dewey penny came near the end of the wheat cent era because in 1959 the design would be changed to feature the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. That means coins dated 1957 are among the last wheat pennies ever struck, making them desirable to collectors who want examples from the final years of the series. The Denver Mint produced an extremely large number of these coins, but that does not take away the fascination collectors have with them, because within these huge mintages there are high-quality examples and rare errors that bring impressive prices on today's market. To understand the history of the 1957 Dewey penny, we must place ourselves in the context of the 1950s. America was experiencing the rise of the suburbs, the expansion of the interstate highway system, and a cultural explosion with rock and roll music. The average citizen would have carried wheat pennies in their pocket without giving them much thought, but today these small copper coins connect us to that time. The 1957 D penny is composed of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, which gives it a distinctive reddish-brown appearance when freshly struck. Over time, exposure to the environment causes the color to change to shades of brown, and collectors often pay special attention to the color designation when grading these coins. When we look at the production numbers, we find that the Denver Mint struck more than 1 billion wheat pennies in 1957. That makes it one of the higher mintage dates in the series. Because of this high mintage, many circulated examples can still be found today in collections and even in pocket change, though it has become less common. However, the real value lies in coins that have been preserved in uncirculated condition. These coins show the full detail of Lincoln's hair and beard on the obverse and the wheat stalks on the reverse without the flattening that comes from years of circulation. Collectors value the 1957 Dewey penny based on grade rarity, and sometimes unique errors. In the lower circulated grades, these coins might only be worth a few cents above face value, but as we move into higher uncirculated grades, the price begins to climb significantly. Coins graded mint state 65 or higher with a bright red designation can sell for hundreds and even thousands of dollars depending on market demand. The highest quality examples, certified by grading services such as PCGS or NGC, are sought after by serious collectors who want the very best representation of the date. Another fascinating aspect of the 1957 Dewey penny lies in the world of error coins. Because such a massive quantity of pennies was struck at the Denver Mint, mistakes inevitably happened. Collectors look for double die errors, repunched mint marks, off center strikes, clipped planchets, and other unusual varieties. These error coins can command premiums far above the standard price of a normal 1957 D penny. For example, a well-known double-die obverse variety can bring in thousands of dollars if it is clearly visible and in high grade. Now let us consider the market value today. While ordinary circulated examples may not be rare, the coin we are focusing on has been recorded in certain cases at astonishing prices. A top-quality gem red example of the 1957 Dewey penny has reached a current market value of $72,664. That figure represents the pinnacle of what collectors are willing to pay for a coin that combines rarity, condition, and desirability. When such a coin crosses the auction block, it is not just a transaction but a celebration of history, art, and numismatics. The reason a single 1-cent piece could be valued at more than $70,000 lies in the world of coin grading and collector competition. Assembling a registry set of Lincoln cents requires having the finest known examples of each date and mint mark. When only a handful of coins survive in pristine condition, collectors with significant resources are willing to bid aggressively to secure ownership. That competition drives prices higher and higher and turns what once was an everyday penny into a small fortune. To put this in perspective, imagine a coin that once bought a piece of candy in 1957 now carrying the value of a luxury car or even a small home. This transformation illustrates the power of rarity and condition in numismatics. It also shows why so many people today search their change and inherited collections hoping to find one of these rare treasures. Stories abound of individuals discovering valuable wheat pennies in jars passed down from grandparents, or hidden away in old dresser drawers. The journey of the 1957 wheat penny from production to circulation to collectible treasure is a story of survival. Out of the billions minted, only a select few have remained in pristine, uncirculated condition, untouched by time and human handling. These are the coins that bring headline-making prices and spark excitement in the collecting community. For most people, finding such a coin is unlikely, but the possibility keeps the hunt alive. When narrating the details of this coin, it is important to reflect on Abraham Lincoln himself, whose image has graced the scent for more than a century. His legacy of leadership during the Civil War and his dedication to equality make him a fitting symbol for a coin that circulates among all Americans, rich and poor alike. The wheat reverse design, which ran from 1909 until 1958, ties together the nation's agricultural roots with the image of its most revered president. In this way, every wheat penny carries a story larger than its physical form. Collectors often wonder how to identify a truly valuable 1957 wheat penny. The key factors include condition, rarity, and era varieties. If you have a penny from 1957 with a D mint mark, examine it closely. Look for strong luster, minimal marks, and a sharp strike. If the coin appears red rather than brown, it may have significant value. Professional grading can authenticate and preserve the coin, ensuring its place in the collector market. As time passes, the supply of high-quality wheat pennies diminishes because coins are lost, damaged, or mishandled. This means that prices for the finest examples are likely to remain strong and perhaps grow even higher. For collectors who invest in rare coins, the 1957 penny represents both historical significance and financial potential. The idea that a coin minted for everyday use could transform into a 5- or 6-figure asset is one of the most fascinating aspects of numismatics. When telling the story of this coin to an audience, we can imagine the scenes of 1957 America. Families watching black and white television sets, children buying soda pop with a handful of pennies, and the Denver Mint running its presses day and night to meet demand. Each coin struck that year carried with it the labor of engravers, die setters, and mint workers who could not have imagined the future importance of their efforts. They were simply producing money for commerce, yet today their work is studied under microscopes and magnifiers by collectors around the world. The allure of the 1957 wheat penny also connects to the broader appeal of collecting itself. Human beings have always treasured objects that link them to the past, whether they be ancient artifacts, stamps, or coins. The act of holding a wheat penny allows us to touch history and feel a sense of continuity across generations. Collectors often describe a deep satisfaction when adding a well-preserved coin to their collection because it represents not only value but also heritage. Today, the 1957 wheat penny continues to inspire fascination in the coin collecting world. Auction results prove that demand remains strong and stories of lucky finds keep the dream alive for everyday people. Whether you are a seasoned numismatist or someone just beginning to explore coins, the lesson of the 1957 penny is clear. Always check your change, always examine inherited jars of coins, and never underestimate the humble 1-cent piece. As we conclude this long journey into the history and value of the 1957 wheat penny, we recognize it as more than a coin. It is a relic of mid-20th century America, a tribute to Abraham Lincoln, a canvas for artistic design, and a vehicle for incredible value in today's collector market. The story of how a 1-cent coin minted in Denver could achieve a market value of $72,664 reminds us of the hidden treasures that surround us. It encourages us to look closer, to pay attention to details, and to cherish the small things that carry big stories. The 1957 wheat penny is a coin of history, a coin of value, and a coin of wonder. And as long as people continue to collect, study, and admire these pieces, its legacy will live on for generations to come. The year was 1946, and the world was slowly stepping out of the shadows of the Second World War. The United States was in a period of transition. Soldiers had returned home, families were rebuilding their lives, and industries were once again turning their attention from war production to domestic progress. This year also marked an important era in the history of American coinage, particularly with the production of the 1946 no-mint mark wheat penny, which today has become a fascinating treasure for collectors across the globe. When we look at the history of the Lincoln wheat cent, we have to go back to 1909, when the United States Mint first introduced the design to honor the centennial of Abraham Lincoln's birth. The wheat penny, also known as the Lincoln wheat cent, featured the bust of President Lincoln on the obverse side and a pair of stylized wheat stalks on the reverse. This design, by Victor David Brenner, would remain iconic until 1958, when the wheat reverse was replaced by the Lincoln memorial design. By 1946, the wheat penny was already a well-recognized coin in circulation. It had been produced for decades and millions were minted each year. However, not all coins from this period would carry the same story. While many 1946 pennies were struck at different mints such as Denver or San Francisco, the 1946 no-mint mark wheat penny was produced at the main United States Mint facility in Philadelphia. Coins from Philadelphia during this time generally did not carry a mint mark, which is why these cents appear without one at first glance. The 1946 no-mint mark wheat penny may seem like just another common cent from mid-20th century America, yet when we dig deeper into its background, rarity, and unique qualities, it becomes clear why this particular year and variety has gained so much attention among coin collectors and investors. The post-war years were a time when the mint was producing large quantities of coins to keep up with a booming economy. The Philadelphia Mint struck hundreds of millions of pennies in 1946, making it one of the higher mintage years. But despite the high mintage numbers, special factors such as condition preservation, striking quality, and historical context play a huge role in determining why a single coin from that year could be worth nearly $100,000. Today, collectors often look for pennies in pristine condition. These are coins that have never entered circulation, or coins that have been carefully preserved without scratches, discoloration, or where the 1946 no-mint mark wheat penny in uncirculated condition with sharp details on Lincoln's portrait, clear lettering, and strong wheat stalks on the reverse can reach astronomical values at auctions. Imagine holding a coin in your hand that once passed through the lives of ordinary Americans in the 1940s, a coin that may have bought a loaf of bread, a gallon of gas, or a daily newspaper. Yet, decades later, that same humble 1-cent piece could be worth nearly $100,000. It is not just a coin but a time capsule from history. Let us also consider the numismatic journey. The value of the 1946 penny has grown steadily over the years. During the 1960s and 1970s, collectors began to notice that high-grade examples of wheat pennies were becoming scarcer. With time, the demand grew. Prices that were once a few dollars for a gem uncirculated piece began to climb to hundreds and then thousands of dollars. By the early 21st century, record-setting sales pushed the 1946 no-mint mark penny into the spotlight, with exceptional specimens fetching tens of thousands and the finest quality examples touching nearly $99,801 in modern auctions. Part of the allure lies in the grading process. Professional coin grading services carefully examine each detail of a penny and assign it a grade ranging from poor to perfect mint state. The slightest imperfection, such as a small nick or faint discoloration, can lower the grade dramatically. Yet when a 1946 penny achieves near-perfect status, collectors compete fiercely to secure it. This competition drives the value higher and higher. The story of the 1946 wheat penny is also about more than money. It is about history. In 1946, President Harry Truman was leading the nation through the aftermath of war. The United States was entering a new global role, and coins from this era reflect that sense of change. The wheat penny symbolized prosperity, growth, and resilience. It was a coin that ordinary people used every day, yet today it tells a much larger story. Think for a moment about the rarity factor. While millions of these pennies were struck, only a tiny fraction survive in gem condition. Most were spent and circulated heavily over the years. The copper surface is soft and prone to scratches, dents, and discoloration. As decades passed, most examples wore down and lost their sharpness. That is why discovering a 1946 penny in nearly flawless state is almost like unearthing a hidden gem. It is a Rare survivor from a world that has changed dramatically since the mid-1940s. Now let us move step by step through the journey of a 1946 no mint mark penny. Picture it being struck at the Philadelphia Mint with fresh dies creating crisp, sharp lines. Abraham Lincoln's profile glowing with detail. Wheat stalks standing tall on the reverse. The coin leaves the mint bags and begins its journey, perhaps handed over a store counter, perhaps saved in a jar, perhaps passed from a soldier recently returned from war to his family. For decades it changes hands unnoticed until one day a sharp-eyed collector recognizes its potential and preserves it from further wear. This act of preservation ensures its survival into the modern era where collectors and investors are ready to pay immense sums for it. The market value of the 1946 wheat penny continues to intrigue enthusiasts. According to records and verified auction results, the most pristine examples of this coin have reached the staggering figure of $99,801. This is a value far beyond its humble 1-cent face worth. The gap between its everyday function and its collector value shows the fascinating world of numismatics, where rarity, condition, and demand combine to transform common objects into treasures for collectors today. The 1946 penny offers both a challenge and an opportunity. The challenge lies in finding one in outstanding condition. The opportunity lies in the potential payoff, whether a collector is just starting out or already has years of experience. The search for rare and valuable coins like the 1946 wheat penny creates excitement, anticipation, and discovery. It is also important to remember that the value of coins is not static. Market trends fluctuate based on collector interest, economic conditions, and auction results. A coin valued at tens of thousands today might rise even higher in years to come as more people enter the hobby and demand increases. The 1946 no mint mark wheat penny is a shining example of how a small coin can carry immense value, both monetary and historical. As we reach deeper into the meaning behind this coin, we see that it represents resilience and memory. Every scratch on circulated coins tells a story of the hands that once held it. Every pristine example preserved through the decades represents dedication and foresight of someone who recognized its worth early on. This duality makes coin collecting such a captivating pursuit. It is not just about value, it is about connecting with history in the most tangible way. When we reflect on the 1946 no mint mark wheat penny, we are reminded of the delicate balance between abundance and rarity, between the millions produced and the few preserved in perfect condition, between its humble purpose as 1 cent and its extraordinary achievement of reaching nearly $100,000 in value. This balance keeps collectors searching, hunting, and dreaming. So if you ever come across a 1946 penny, take a close look at it, study its condition, observe the details of Lincoln's profile and the wheat stalks, check for clarity, sharpness, and luster. You never know if the coin in your possession could be among the rare few capable of transforming your financial future. Its face value may be just 1 cent, but its true worth might carry the weight of history, passion, and fortune. This is the captivating story of the 1946 no mint mark wheat penny, from its birth at the Philadelphia Mint in the aftermath of war to its journey through the decades to its astonishing modern market value of $99,801, a small copper coin carrying a story far larger than its size, reminding us that even the simplest objects can hold immense power when preserved through time. Welcome back to another amazing video, where today we are going to dive deep into the fascinating history and current market value of the 1990 mint mark Lincoln 1-cent penny coin, a coin that has become legendary among collectors and investors alike. This coin may look like just another small copper-colored penny in your pocket, but the truth is that its story is full of history, rarity, and value, and that is why today we are going to spend time together exploring every detail that makes this coin so special. First, let us begin with the background of the Lincoln cent itself. The Lincoln penny was first introduced in 1909 to celebrate the 100th anniversary of the birth of Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States. The decision to place Lincoln on the coin was historic because it marked the very first time that a real person, and especially a president, was featured on a regular circulating United States coin. Before that, coins mostly carried images of liberty or other symbolic figures, but never the image of a president. So when the Lincoln cent made its debut in 1909, it was already groundbreaking. The original design featured the bust of Abraham Lincoln on the front or obverse side, and on the reverse side it carried the wheat ears design, which is why many collectors today call the earliest coins wheat pennies. This design ran from 1909 until 1958, and then in 1959 the reverse design was changed to feature the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C. That memorial Reverse continued until 2008 before being replaced in 2009 with the shield design that we still see today. Now let us turn our focus to the year 1990, and the Denver Mint marked. The 1990 D. Lincoln penny was struck at the Denver Mint located in Colorado. The Denver Mint has been one of the most productive mints in the United States, creating billions of coins each year and marking them with the famous D Mint mark to distinguish them from coins produced in Philadelphia or San Francisco. In 1990, the Denver Mint produced hundreds of millions of Lincoln cents, and on the surface these pennies look common. However, what makes the 1990 D penny stand out is the combination of condition, rarity, and collector demand. For most people, pennies from the late 20th century seem ordinary. They were made from a composition of copper-plated zinc beginning in 1982, which means that the core of the coin is zinc and the outer surface is thin copper plating. This was a major change because before 1982 pennies were made primarily of copper, but the rising price of copper meant that the U.S. Mint had to switch to a cheaper metal, otherwise the penny itself would be worth more in raw metal value than its face value. So the 1990 D penny is one of those modern zinc-based pennies, but it is still highly collectible in pristine condition. One of the reasons the 1990 D penny attracts attention is because of its value in the collector market. Coins that are preserved in uncirculated condition with sharp details, no scratches, and a shiny luster can fetch incredible prices at auction, while a typical worn 1990 D penny might only be worth 1 cent, or maybe a few cents to a casual collector. The rare examples that are graded extremely high by professional coin grading services can be worth thousands and even tens of thousands of dollars. Now let us talk about grading, because grading is one of the most important parts of the story. When collectors send their coins to professional grading companies like PCGS or NGC, the coins are carefully examined under magnification and assigned a grade based on the Sheldon scale, which runs from 1 to 70. A grade of 70 represents a perfect coin with no flaws, while anything in the mid-60s is considered gem. Uncirculated for the 1990 D penny, a coin that has been graded MS 68 or higher can bring an extraordinary price because so few examples survive in that level of perfection. In fact, one of the highest recorded sales for a 1990 D penny reached an astonishing $48,523 at auction. This price shocked the coin community and demonstrated just how much demand exists for rare top-quality examples of this coin. Remember that this is a 1-cent coin that someone once used in everyday transactions, and yet in perfect condition it has become worth nearly $50,000. That is the magic of coin collecting, and why these stories are so captivating. Let us imagine how rare it is to find one of these coins in such a grade. Out of the hundreds of millions of coins struck in Denver in 1990, most entered circulation immediately. They were tossed into cash registers, spent at grocery stores, jingled around in pockets and purses, and banged against other coins in piggy banks. That means they quickly picked up scratches, dents, and wear that would prevent them from ever achieving a top grade. Only the few coins that were carefully saved right from the start and preserved in mint-sealed packaging or discovered in original rolls stand a chance of achieving the near-perfect condition that brings top dollar today. This is why coin collecting is both a hobby of passion and a game of chance. You never know when a coin sitting in a drawer or a jar in your home might turn out to be a hidden treasure. The 1990 D penny proves that even a modern coin can hold life-changing value if it happens to be the right one in the right condition. Now let us turn to the historical context of the year 1990 itself. This was a period of great change. In America, the Cold War was coming to an end, technology was advancing rapidly, and yet pennies were still being used heavily in everyday life. Cash registers were full of them, people rolled them up for the bank, and children collected them in albums. The U.S. Mint kept producing billions of pennies each year to meet demand, and yet very few people thought to save them in perfect condition. That is what makes the surviving pristine examples so rare today. If we take a closer look at the design of the 1990 D penny, we can appreciate its artistry. On the obverse we have the bust of Abraham Lincoln designed by Victor David Brenner, a design that has endured for more than a century. It shows Lincoln in profile facing right with the word liberty to his left and the motto "In God We Trust" above his head. The date 1990 appears to the right along with the D mint mark underneath. The reverse sides still carry the Lincoln Memorial, designed by Frank Gasparo, with the words United States of America above 1 cent. below and e pluribus unum across the top in the center. If you look closely, you can even see the tiny figure of the Lincoln statue inside the memorial. Collectors love these small details because they tie the coin to both American history and artistic design. Even though billions of these coins were made, each individual penny is a small piece of history representing Lincoln, the memorial, and the year of its production. Another aspect of value for the 1990 penny comes from error coins. Error coins are coins that were struck with mistakes at the mint. Sometimes dies crack or clash, sometimes the planchets are misaligned or double struck, and in some cases off-center strikes occur. These errors can create unusual and unique coins that collectors will pay premiums to own. While not every 1990 penny error is worth a fortune, certain dramatic errors can be valued at hundreds or even thousands of dollars when combined with high condition. Now let us consider how the market value is determined when a rare example of the 1990 penny goes up for auction. The bidding is driven by collector demand. Investors and coin enthusiasts know that only a handful of coins in the world have achieved those top grades, so when such a coin becomes available, it sparks competition and pushes the price higher. That is exactly what happened in the case where the 1990 penny sold for $48,523. The scarcity of the coin in top grade combined with the willingness of collectors to pay a premium resulted in that remarkable sale. It is also important to note that coin values can fluctuate over time. The coin market operates much like any other market, with peaks and valleys based on demand, economic conditions, and the availability of coins. If more high-grade examples of the 1990 penny are discovered in the future, the price might level out, but if no more appear and demand continues, the price could rise even higher for collectors who are interested in searching for their own valuable 1990 penny. The best strategy is to carefully examine uncirculated rolls, mint sets, or proof sets if available, checking coins under magnification to look for sharp details. Clean surfaces and minimal marks is key. It may take patience, but the thrill of finding a gem coin makes the hunt worthwhile. Another tip for collectors is to always handle coins carefully. Oils and dirt from fingers can damage the surface of a coin, so using gloves and storing coins in protective holders is essential if you want to preserve their value. Also, never attempt to clean a coin because cleaning can permanently reduce its grade and therefore its market value. Collectors value originality and natural luster above all else. When we step back and reflect, the story of the 1990 Lincoln penny is not just about money, it is about history, artistry, and the dedication of collectors who preserve pieces of the past. Coins like this remind us that even the smallest object can carry a big story, from Abraham Lincoln to the Denver Mint, from the zinc copper composition to the record auction sale. Every detail of this coin adds to its legacy. As we move toward the end of our discussion, let us summarize. The 1990 mint mark Lincoln penny was produced in huge numbers, but only a few survive in top uncirculated grades. Those few coins have sold for as much as $48,523, making them among the most valuable modern pennies. The year is 2005, and the United States Mint continues its long tradition of producing Lincoln 1-cent pennies. Among these coins is a version that bears the D mint mark, standing for the Denver Mint. At first glance, many would dismiss this small copper-plated zinc coin as ordinary pocket change. But numismatics and coin enthusiasts around the world know that some specific examples of the 2005 D mint mark Lincoln cent are extremely rare and valuable. Today we will take a deep dive into the history, the design, the production details, and the current market value of this coin, which has stunned collectors with a price tag of over $63,120. To begin, we must go back more than a century to understand the origins of the Lincoln cent. The Lincoln 1-cent coin was first struck in 1909 to honor the 100th anniversary of the birth of Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the coin featured the portrait of Lincoln on the obverse side, making it the first American coin to feature the likeness of a real historical figure rather than a symbolic representation of liberty. This design choice made history, and the Lincoln cent would remain in circulation for generations, becoming the most produced coin in the history of the United States. Over the decades, the Lincoln cent went through subtle changes. Originally made of 95% copper, the composition later shifted to copper-coated zinc in 1982 due to rising copper prices. From that point forward, Lincoln cents were made primarily of zinc, with only a thin copper plating giving them the familiar reddish color. This shift in composition marked a new era for the penny, and the 2005 Denver minted coins are part of this copper-plated zinc lineage. The Denver Mint in Colorado is one of the primary facilities responsible for producing coins for circulation in the United States. The D Mint mark has appeared on countless coins over the decades, and the 2005 issue of Lincoln Cents was no exception. Billions of these pennies rolled off the presses in 2005, but as with every large-scale coin production run, a small number of errors and unique variations emerged. It is these special variations that intrigue collectors and drive up value to staggering heights. Now, what makes a 2005 D Mint mark Lincoln penny worth $63,120? The answer lies in rarity, condition, and collector demand. Some examples have been found with extraordinary mint errors, such as double dies off center strikes, die cracks, or misaligned mint marks. Others may be flawless uncirculated examples graded at the highest possible levels by professional coin grading services. A coin graded at MS69 or MS70, which represents nearly perfect condition, can command massive sums at auction because so few exist in such pristine states. When we study the history of coins, we see a clear pattern. Common coins that most people ignore in everyday change can sometimes contain hidden treasures. A penny that cost only 1 cent to spend in 2005 might today be worth more than $60,000 simply because it survived in immaculate condition or carries a rare striking error. That is why so many collectors scour their change jars, their old coin rolls, and even boxes of pennies from the bank searching for that one special coin. The story of the 2005 D penny is not only about money, it is also about history and preservation. Every coin tells a story of the time it was minted, the economy, the technology of the minting process, and the cultural values of the nation. The Lincoln Cent continues to be an icon of American coinage, and 2005 stands as a reminder that even modern issues can reach legendary value if the right conditions align. Auction records reveal the truth. In recent years, high-grade examples of the 2005 D Lincoln Cent have sold for tens of thousands of dollars, shocking many who never considered such a modern coin to be valuable. Collectors know that the combination of rarity and demand drives the market. If only a handful of coins are known in nearly perfect condition, then those few become treasures worth fighting over in auctions and private sales. Now let us talk about the design. On the obverse side of the coin, we see the familiar bust of Abraham Lincoln facing right with the word liberty to his left and the motto "In God We Trust" above his head. The year 2005 appears to the right side along with the D Mint mark indicating the Denver Mint. On the reverse, we find the classic Lincoln Memorial design, which was introduced in 1959 to honor the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. This memorial reverse would remain on the penny until 2008. That means the 2005 penny stands within the long run of memorial cents, a design instantly recognizable to anyone who has ever handled United States change. Collectors often study the tiniest details of these designs under magnification. Doubling of letters, die polish lines, weak strikes, and other microscopic features can make the difference between a coin worth a cent and a coin worth $63,000. The trained eye of a numismatist can spot these details instantly, but for the casual collector it takes time, patience, and research to understand. That is what makes coin collecting such a fascinating hobby. It is a treasure hunt where knowledge is the key. Imagine walking into a coin shop or attending an auction and seeing a simple 2005 penny displayed under glass. To the untrained observer, it may seem absurd to place such a high value on something so common. But to the collector who knows its history, who understands its rarity, and who appreciates its condition, the value is clear. That small coin is a piece of history, a symbol of preservation, and a gateway into the rich world of numismatics. Today, the market value of a 2005 D Mint mark Lincoln penny in ordinary circulated condition remains just 1 cent. However, examples in high mint state conditions, especially those certified by professional grading services, can reach values of several $1,000s. The highest known auction result, pushing above $63,000, remains an extraordinary case representing the absolute best example of its kind. It serves as a reminder to all collectors that even modern pocket change can conceal astonishing wealth. The lesson here is simple. Never overlook the coins in your pocket, purse, or piggy bank. Every coin has a story, and some of those stories are worth small fortunes. The 2005 penny is proof that modern coins deserve just as much attention as older classics. Whether you are a seasoned collector or a curious beginner, you should always check your coins carefully. As we continue to explore the world of coin collecting, we see that history and value are intertwined. The Lincoln cent remains a cornerstone of American numismatics. From the very first 1909 issue to the modern zinc pennies, the coin has carried the face of Abraham Lincoln across more than a century of American life. And in that long story, the 2005 penny shines as an example of how even recent coins can achieve legendary status. So the next time you receive change at the grocery store or sift through a roll of pennies from the bank, take a closer look. That small coin might just be your ticket to a fortune. Who knows, maybe you will be the next person to discover a pristine or rare 2005 penny and realize that you are holding $63,120 in the palm of your hand. And that, my friends, is the fascinating story of the 2005 mint mark Lincoln 1-cent coin, its history, its design, and its incredible market value today. The year 1989 was not only a transitional period for the United States in terms of politics, culture, and economics, but also a fascinating year for coin collectors and numismatics enthusiasts who have always been captivated by the small details hidden within the coins we use every single day. Today, we are going to embark on a deep journey into the history, significance, and current market value of the 1989 mint mark Lincoln 1-cent penny coin, a coin that may appear small and ordinary in the palm of your hand, but is actually a gateway into a story filled with rarity, value, and history. This coin has stunned collectors and auction houses, with reports that one specimen reached a market value of over $51,827, and this kind of shocking figure has caused waves of excitement, curiosity, and inspiration across the world of numismatics. To understand why the 1989 mint mark penny has become so important, we first have to understand the long history of the Lincoln cent itself. The Lincoln penny was first introduced in 1909 to honor the centennial of President Abraham Lincoln's birth. It was the very first circulating American coin to feature a real historical figure. Up to that point, coins were decorated with symbols, allegorical figures, or representations of liberty, but President Theodore Roosevelt wanted to see more realism and American pride reflected in everyday currency, so the design was created by Victor David Brenner, who placed the bust of Lincoln on the obverse side of the coin and the words "In God We Trust" proudly above his head. The introduction of this coin marked a turning point in United States coinage, and over the decades it evolved through several design changes, but Lincoln always remained the central figure. By the time 1989 arrived, the Lincoln penny had already been in circulation for 80 years. The wheat reverse had long been replaced with the Lincoln Memorial reverse that began in 1959, commemorating the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth, and this memorial reverse design continued through 2008. The penny struck in 1989 carried this Lincoln Memorial reverse, but what makes the mint mark variety so captivating is not just the design but the unusual circumstances behind how mint marks function in the United States. Mint marks have been used for centuries to indicate where a coin was struck in the United States. Mint marks can include P for Philadelphia, D for Denver, S for San Francisco, and W for West Point. Coins produced in Philadelphia generally did not carry a mint mark, especially for pennies, so most people seeing a penny without a mint mark would assume it came from Philadelphia. However, when we talk about specific rare errors or varieties like the 1989 mint mark penny, we are referring to an unusual case where either a coin was struck incorrectly, missing details that should have been present, or a small die error occurred that changed its identity and rarity. The rarity lies not in the ordinary 1989 Philadelphia penny, which is common, but in the distinct error strikes or flawless high-grade mint mark examples that stand apart from billions of ordinary cents. Billions of Lincoln pennies were struck in 1989, and the majority of them are worth only face value, but certain error coins and extremely high-quality mint mark examples have been found to fetch extraordinary amounts at auction. When you consider that some collectors have paid over $51,000 for a single penny, it forces us to stop and think about what really drives value in the coin world. Rarity, condition, demand, and historical intrigue all play a role. The grading process is one of the most crucial parts of determining a coin's value. Grading is performed by professional services such as PCGS and NGC, which carefully examine a coin for strike quality, surface preservation, luster, and eye appeal. A 1989 mint mark penny that is heavily circulated, worn down, or scratched will never command a premium. value, but one that is preserved in mint state condition with little to no flaws can become a treasure. Mint state coins are graded on a scale from 60 to 70, with 70 being a perfect flawless strike. A 1989 no mint mark penny graded MS67 or higher can skyrocket in value far beyond what most people expect. One of the fascinating aspects of the coin world is that ordinary people often come across these rarities by accident. Someone may empty their piggy bank, sift through pocket change, or inherit a jar of coins from a relative, only to discover later that one of those coins is worth a fortune. The 1989 no mint mark penny is a perfect example of why people should never underestimate the power of coin collecting. Many reports exist of people sending a coin they thought was worth only 1 cent to be graded, only to discover that it was an extremely valuable variety. The specific reasons the 1989 no mint mark penny reached a value of $51,827 in certain sales comes down to rarity. In high-grade condition, collectors are willing to compete for the best examples. The law of supply and demand ensures that the fewer perfect or rare error coins exist, the higher the price climbs. This is why auctions can sometimes shock the numismatic community, because enthusiastic bidding wars can send the value soaring. Now let us take a deeper look at what collectors actually look for in a 1989 penny. First is the strike quality. Sharp details on Lincoln's hair, the date, and the lettering are essential. The reverse showing the Lincoln Memorial should have full steps, visible crisp lines, and no blurring. Second is the absence of wear or contact marks, which can drastically lower a coin's grade. Third are potential errors or varieties. Errors like off-center strikes, die cracks, double dies, or missing design elements can all add massive value to the coin even when found in circulated condition. For example, some 1989 pennies show doubling on the date or lettering. Others have off center strikes where the design is not properly aligned. Such unusual characteristics make each coin unique and desirable to error collectors. While not every no mint mark penny will be valuable, those that display unique attributes and survive in superb condition are worth examining closely. It is also important to note that the composition of the 1989 penny is primarily copper-plated zinc. By 1982, the United States Mint had shifted away from the traditional 95% copper composition to save costs. Instead, pennies were made with a zinc core and only a thin copper coating. This change also meant that pennies struck after 1982 were more prone to damage, corrosion, and wear, so finding a pristine 1989 penny without flaws becomes even harder, which again adds to its scarcity in top grades. The story of this coin is also tied to the human fascination with Lincoln himself. President Abraham Lincoln remains one of the most admired figures in American history. His image on the cent is a reminder of leadership, perseverance, and unity during one of the darkest times in the nation, the Civil War. Collectors often feel a sense of pride and connection to Lincoln when holding a coin that has carried his portrait for over a century. The no mint mark rarity only deepens the intrigue because it combines both history and mystery. In the modern market, the 1989 no mint mark Lincoln penny has a wide range of values. At the lowest level, circulated examples are worth face value or a few cents. In uncirculated condition, especially MS65 or better, the values begin to climb into the hundreds of dollars. At MS67 the coin can easily fetch thousands, and at MS68 or higher, rarity and perfection meet together, which is where auction records soar. The top reported sale reaching $51,827 is a testimony to how fiercely collectors will compete for the very best. For anyone interested in collecting or investing in coins, it is a good idea to carefully examine your change. Search coin rolls from banks and consider sending coins to be graded if they appear flawless. Coin roll hunting has become a popular hobby where people buy boxes of pennies from banks and sort through them in hopes of finding rare varieties, and this is exactly how some lucky collectors stumble upon valuable coins without spending more than face value. Stories abound of people discovering life-changing finds hidden in ordinary circulation coins. The 1989 no mint mark Lincoln penny is not only about its value, it is a story about patience, dedication, and the thrill of the hunt. It represents how something as small as a penny can hold a rich legacy of American history, artistry, and culture. It reminds us that treasures are not always hidden in faraway places. Sometimes they are in the change you hold in your pocket. As we reflect on this coin, it becomes clear why collectors remain fascinated by Lincoln cents more than any other United States coin. The series is long running, accessible to beginners and yet filled with rare gems that can be worth fortunes every single year in the series has stories to tell, from the 1909 VDB to the steel cents of 1943 to the transitional varieties of the 1980s and 1990s, and of course the stunning discoveries of coins like the 1989 no-mint mark Lincoln penny. So the next time you come across a penny from the late 1980s, take a closer look under a magnifying glass. Check for sharp details and pristine surfaces. You might be holding something worth far more than a single cent. You might be holding a coin that could one day command thousands, or even tens of thousands of dollars, just as one did when it sold for $51,827. The story of the 1989 no-mint mark penny continues to inspire new collectors to join the hobby and continues to remind us that every coin has a journey, every coin has a story, and sometimes the most ordinary looking coins are the ones that hold the greatest secrets.